The white paper was first published October 31st, 2008, but then a few months later, Satoshi started mining Bitcoin, and the Genesis block was launched on January 3rd, 2009. So it's kind of the start of this grand experiment, which is clearly, I guess it's still an experiment, but it's not one that looks like it's going to end anytime soon. The importance of it is the longevity of Bitcoin, now 16 years, incredible uptime since its launch. I think there's only been like 2 times it was like briefly off at the beginning. It has like a 99 point something percent uptime over all these years. And even in the face of critics and detractors and everything, we're still here today. So it's pretty awesome. Also on January 3rd, some Bitcoiners, they call it proof of keys days, which encourages people to take self-custody of their Bitcoin. I am concerned that message has been lost over the last year or so, where people are entering into other Bitcoin vehicles like MicroStrategy, the Bitcoin ETFs. And there's nothing wrong with people doing that. I'm not like, for or against, they all serve a purpose. But I think understanding the building blocks, no pun intended, of Bitcoin helps you kind of learn conviction. And maybe those things will serve as like a top of funnel where people first get exposed to either the Bitcoin ETFs or MicroStrategy, and then, get into Bitcoin and then self-custody and running their own node. But I am concerned about the, I guess, cypherpunk, values and reason kind of for Bitcoin being in existence, peer-to-peer money, censorship resistance, all those, good things that, we talk about.
It has to happen every cycle, I would imagine, right? Every current crop is thinking about, hey, the new people that come in, what's going to happen? And the old, well, not the old saying, and nothing is that old in Bitcoin necessarily yet, but, just you don't change Bitcoin, Bitcoin changes you. And people eventually kind of come around. But I think there is a point, though. I think you would agree that, 10, 20, 50 years from now, if everyone's on a Bitcoin standard, just like the current monetary system, most people don't understand the system they're in, right? They're not going to understand Bitcoin, just like they don't understand this system, which leads me to the question of why don't people are still now today, like it's going to zero, it's going to do this, it's going to do that. What is going to change or even not change, I guess, between now and then? Because you're going to have people that are coming in at speeds as we go through this S-curve adoption. More people are coming in faster than education can even withstand, I guess. I don't know if the right way to say that, but is there this inflection point, I guess, where there's the ethos is getting lost? Because I know, like George Gammon, for example, there's some of these guys who like they'll agree on everything that Jeff Booth says, right? They've had these debates, but then he just says, well, hey, I just disagree. And like 100 years from now, I think people will revert right back to like they don't understand the problems, and they revert right back to like doing stupid things. And Bitcoin hasn't changed enough people, quote unquote. Bitcoin changes you, but did we change enough people? So, I mean, what do you think? Because I think this is kind of Saylor's big fear of like, do people care about sound money? I've had some good family debates this weekend, actually, with some very intelligent people, and that was their one fear as well. So anyway, what are your thoughts when it comes to that?
Yeah, it's so hard to say. Humans will continue to do stupid things. That saying, play stupid games, win stupid prizes, or something like that. But those who hold Bitcoin will be rewarded. So people may try to, people talk about paper Bitcoin and other, financial derivatives and products related to Bitcoin. And that's why I still preach to people, buy Bitcoin, self-custody it yourself. Because in the end, the protocol is still the protocol. Every 10 minutes, new blocks are produced. And that has served people, hodlers well over the years. But I am concerned about the education with Bitcoin, because now it's just like people see number go up. They're like, oh, I'm going to get some exposure to this. They buy the Bitcoin ETF because it's easy, but they never like will go that extra step in learning. A lot of people had to learn before the ETFs because there were consequences if you didn't learn, right? Like if you bought Bitcoin, if you were able to figure it out and then left it on an exchange and the exchange went under, you got wrecked. And, some people, they never came back after that. And some people, they learned the value of self-custody. Hard lessons to learn. But it really hardened a lot of Bitcoiners, right? It formed new Bitcoiners. All the terrible things that have happened in Bitcoin, Mt. Gox, FTX collapse, those have actually made Bitcoiners even stronger, right? The ones who get it, it makes them even stronger, those lessons learned. But, we'll see. One of the good things is there is a lot more education readily available everywhere. I mean, you have a podcast. It seems like everyone has a podcast these days, right? I mean, obviously, I'm being hyperbolic here, but there's so many podcasts, there's so many books, there's so many things at people's fingertips. And all it's going to do is them typing in the word Bitcoin somewhere on like Google or YouTube, and then they find your podcast or they find another, and they start listening to someone and like, wait a minute, I own the Bitcoin ETF, but that's not really like that I shouldn't really be doing that. So I think there's still hope. But I think the dynamics are different now. So yeah, I don't know how it's going to turn out. I just know the people who do hold Bitcoin, learn how to self-custody to do it in a responsible, secure, and safe way, they will be okay no matter what else happens around them. That's my guess.
It does feel different this time in the sense that, like you said, the toothpaste is out of the tube, or for thousands of years, you didn't have something you could fall back on. Gold and silver were the only option. And then it eventually got centralized. There's really no other way around it. And then there's nothing you could do. And then you're kind of screwed. But at this point, the toothpaste is out of the tube. People know too much. You have like Elon stuff with free speech, all these things happening. But people are like asking, 20 years ago, if you would have told me 20 years ago, what the people are talking about today in kind of mainstream, I'll say mainstream as like Twitter in a way, like that's mainstream now, like not legacy news, but you have these people all over talking about legacy news would call conspiracy theories. And these are things that just people trying to get to the bottom of something and trying to find truth. And it was just hidden from everybody and no one could get answers. So it creates these theories and people saying, well, hey, it must be this if you're not being transparent with me. If you told me that 20 years ago, the mainstream people would be talking about that just every day on Twitter, I would have bet you any money in the world that would not be happening, because I thought we were going so far down the wrong. So the whole point of what I'm trying to say is credence to what you're saying. I think you're right that it does start changing you. People, the toothpaste out of the tube are going that direction. Why is it you think that people don't question the current system, I guess? And they are to a degree, right? But we're in an echo chamber on Twitter a lot of times. So I say mainstream there, but at the same time, again, you talk to your average family member or whoever it is, and they don't question this system that we're in now, this fiat debt-based system, like they do Bitcoin. Like every rebuttal, every objection you get, you can just flip it around and say, well, why aren't you asking that about the current system? What is that? What's missing there in your opinion? Like, why are people continually doing the Stockholm Syndrome thing?
If you want the answer to that question right there and you like that spicy clip, check it out here. Come on, we'll see you in there. But if you want the full interview in its entirety, all the spicy clips put together, and you're not going to want to miss it, believe me, then check that out here. Come on, we'll see you in there. Do it.